My mom came to the United States from the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. She came from Haiti with less than $150 to her name. And one of her first jobs was down in Miami, Florida. My mom was working in the hotels as a maid. She would make up the beds. One of my mom's second jobs is she worked in a purse factory. It was a factory with no air conditioning. My mom stood on her feet for 8 hours a day, and as the purses came down the assembly line, she reversed the purses and prepared them for stitching. It was a job that a lot of people didn't want. But here's what I realized that my mom understood, that sometimes you gotta be willing to do the things today that others won't do so that you can have the things tomorrow that others won't have. And after 22 years of being here in this country, working all kind of odd jobs, going from opportunity to opportunity, my mom finally found her golden opportunity. She always wanted to become an entrepreneur, and she saw a freestanding building, and she said that would be a perfect place for me to open up my restaurant. And so my mom strikes up a lease agreement with the owner, and then she opens up her restaurant. She makes it through the first year of business. She's in her second year, she's actually starting to have a profit. And one Saturday, she's at home, minding her own business, and out of nowhere, she gets a knock on the door. When my mom opens up the door, the gentleman on the other end, he hands my mom these legal documents. When my mom gets the legal documents, she starts flipping through the pages, and then she realizes that the property is going to foreclosure. But my mom can't understand why, because she's been paying the landlord every single month on time. And so she picks up the phone and she calls them up. And she goes, "Hello? Oui, this is Marie. Yes, I received the papers in the mail. It says that the property is going to foreclosure. But I don't understand. Every month I pay the landlord on time. Every month I pay him. I don't understand why the property is going to foreclosure." The lady on the line could tell that my mom sincerely did not understand what was going on. She said, "Oh, Marie, even though you've been paying the landlord money every single month on time, the landlord has a mortgage. The mortgage is attached to the property. Because of that, the bank has the right to foreclose. And so, ma'am, the property is gonna go to foreclosure." And so my mom asked her, "Do you think that maybe I can go to the foreclosure sale? Whoever buys the property, I will be a good tenant for them. I will stay in the property. I will pay them the rent. Please, do you think that they will let me stay?" And you know what the lady told my mom? She said, "Ma'am, it's not even worth you showing up. Whoever buys that property is not gonna wanna keep your little restaurant in there." And so my mom was devastated. She's like, "This is how I take care of my two boys. I got all my life savings into this property." And so about 2 weeks later, my mom says, "You know what? I know that sometimes you don't just have to listen to what people tell you. There's some people that are gonna try to talk you out of your dream. They're gonna tell you don't even show up." But my mom said, "At a minimum, I'm gonna at least try to show up and see if I can convince whatever big time real estate investor if there's any way that they'll let me stay in the property." Sometimes people are gonna try to talk you out of your dream, and you gotta look them right in the eye and say, "Hey, that's okay. I'm just gonna keep showing up." And so 2 weeks later, my mom shows up to the foreclosure sale. She's expecting a room full of investors, but to her surprise, there's only 2 people there: the auctioneer and the representative from the bank. Now, before my mom could realize what's going on, the auctioneer steps up to the podium. He says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start the bidding process on 540 West Atlantic Avenue. If you're here to bid on the property, please raise your hand." And so naturally, the representative from the bank is standing over here. She raises her hand. My mom, who had no intentions on bidding on the property, doesn't even know how this thing works. My mom decided to take an act of faith and raise her hand. Martin Luther King said that faith is taking the first step, even when you can't see the entire staircase. The auctioneer said, "Very well, we're gonna start the bidding process at 30,000. Can I get a 30,000? The representative from the bank is standing here, says 30,000. My mom, calm, collect, doesn't even know how this works, goes 35,000. It gets over here to the bankers at Vic, says 36,000. My mom's still in the game, 37,000. This goes on and on. Now they're in the 40s. 40s, now they're in the 50s, now they're in the 60s, now they're in the 70s. It gets over here to the bank where their bank says 74,000. My mom's still in the game, no money, 75,000. Gets over here to the bank where their bank says 76,000. Now, my mom's like, I might as well have some fun. I don't have any money anyway. We must be playing with some Monopoly money. And so my mom, attitude and all, my mom goes, 76,500. But this time something happens. The representative from the bank is standing here with a clip pad. She picks up the clip pad and she says nothing. The auctioneer's got to keep the process going. He goes 76,500 going once, no answer. He goes 76,500 going twice, no answer. He goes 76,500 sold to who? My mom, the woman who had no intentions on bidding on the property. And so my mom is excited she won the bid. And then she's like, wait a second, I actually have to have the money? And so they told her, you got 30 days to come up with the money. And so my mom would go home, she'd pull out a notepad, and she'd start writing down the names of all of her friends and all of her family members, one by one. And she would call them up and tell them the story. Some would lend her 1,000, some would lend her 2,000, some would lend her 3,000, some lend her 4,000, some lend her 5,000. And she's 3 days away, and she's still $30,000 short. And my mom's thinking, maybe this isn't meant to be. I put everything that I have into this dream. And then her telephone rings. And it's her friend Yvonne's. And when her friend calls her up, my mom says, Yvonne's, no, it's too late. I have 3 days, I still need $30,000. Yvonne said, no, Marie, listen, I know you've been calling us, but me and my husband, we've been saving up money to buy a house. We heard you call us, we heard the voicemails. Right now, we've saved up $30,000. We prayed about it, we talked about it, and we want to lend you the $30,000. All my mom could say was thank you. And so my mom said thank you. So my mom would go and get the money from Evo's and all of her friends and all of her family members. And she would drive over to the bank and get a cashier's check. She would get back in the car, drive up to Palm Beach, look at that big, thick cashier's window with the little hole at the bottom. My mom would probably take that cashier's check and slide it through the little hole. And that day, my mom went from being the tenant to being the landlord, all because she was willing to show up. Here's what I say to you. There are going to be times that you're going to be wondering, why should I keep showing up? Why should I keep at it? Why should I keep fighting for my goals and fighting for my dreams? And what I want to remind you is that you got to show up for your life regardless of the circumstances. You got to show up in spite of the naysayers. You got to show up in spite of the conversation going on in your mind. You got to show up for your life. Because if you don't, nobody else will.